Young men are failing hard. And I'm not talking about your typical boys will be boys nonsense. I'm talking about a generation of guys who are literally killing themselves at 4 times the rate of women, getting addicted 3 times more often, and ending up in prison 12 times more than their female counterparts. When Scott Galloway, the NYU professor, who doesn't sugarcoat anything, dropped these stats, most people's first reaction wasn't concern. It was defensiveness. Oh great, another guy complaining about male privilege. But what if I told you this isn't about privilege at all? What if the real story is that we've created a generation of economically and emotionally invisible men, and we're all pretending it's not happening? Stick around, because this isn't your typical men's rights rant. This is about why your little brother, your coworker, maybe even you, might be drowning in plain sight. The invisible crisis no one sees. You know that friend who's 28, still living with his parents, spending his nights gaming until 3 a.m. and somehow always broke despite having a degree? Yeah, that guy. We used to call him a loser. Turns out he might just be the canary in the coal mine. The data is brutal. For the first time in modern history, young men are less likely to be employed, less likely to be in relationships, and less likely to have basic economic security than the generation before them. While women are crushing it in education, there will be 3 female college graduates for every 2 male ones in the next 5 years. Young guys are checking out of society entirely. And it's not just about jobs or money, it's about purpose. When you don't see a future that includes you, you start to disengage. Suicide rates among men aged 25 to 35 have skyrocketed. They're turning to substances, withdrawing from real relationships, and many are medicating with porn and video games. Before you roll your eyes, understand, this isn't about moral failure, it's about survival. When humans can't find purpose, connection, and hope in the real world, they create artificial versions. Gaming offers achievement. Porn offers intimacy without vulnerability. Social media offers connection without accountability. It's not because they're weak, it's because they're lost. Society has shifted rapidly, and while some have adapted, many young men were never given the tools to navigate this new reality. They're told to man up, but no one explains how. They're expected to thrive in a world that no longer values the strengths they were taught to cultivate. And as they fall behind, shame kicks in, making it even harder to reach out for help. What looks like laziness or failure from the outside is often quiet desperation. The real tragedy? Most of them don't even realize they're not alone in this. The system that left men behind. This isn't about feminism taking over or men being lazy. The real culprit is something much more insidious: economic displacement combined with social obsolescence. Here's the thing nobody talks about. The jobs that built male identity for generations, they're gone. Manufacturing, trades, physical labor that paid well enough to buy a house and support a family by 25? Poof. Replaced by a knowledge economy that heavily favors skills women have been developing, while men were told to man up and figure it out alone. Meanwhile, women built incredible support networks. They talked about their problems, they adapted, they pivoted. Men, we told them emotions were weakness. Therapy was for the broken, and asking for help was failure. So when the economic rug got pulled out from under them, they had nowhere to turn. And here's the psychological gut punch. Masculinity used to be defined by being a provider, protector, and leader. But when you can't afford rent, can't get a date because you're broke, and every traditional marker of manhood feels impossible to achieve, what's left? Gaming gives you achievement. Porn gives you intimacy without vulnerability. Social media gives you connection without real relationship. It's not healthy, but it's logical. How I almost lost myself too. I almost became one of these statistics. I was the guy who looked successful on paper but was completely hollow inside. Good job, decent apartment, but I was lonely as hell. Working 60-hour weeks just to afford basic adult life, watching my female friends get promoted faster, buy houses, get married, while I felt like I was running in place. The breaking point came when I realized I hadn't had a meaningful conversation with another human being in 3 weeks. I was ordering groceries online, working from home, and my social interaction was limited to Netflix and Reddit comments. I was becoming invisible, even to myself. That's when I stumbled across Galloway's work and realized I wasn't broken. I was just living in a system that wasn't designed for the modern male experience. The old playbook didn't work anymore, but nobody had written a new one. I was following rules for a game that no longer existed. The shift happened when I stopped trying to be the man I thought I should be and started figuring out who I actually was in this weird new world. But more importantly, I realized this wasn't just my problem, it was everywhere. Every guy I knew was struggling with some version of this, but we were all suffering in silence because admitting it felt like admitting failure. 5 steps to reclaim your life. All right, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions. Real ones. This isn't about some magical morning routine or hustle culture nonsense. These are the hard-earned lessons that actually helped me and can help you climb out of the hole. First, let go of the outdated blueprint. Stop trying to live up to your grandfather's version of manhood. The strong, silent provider model doesn't work in today's world. Modern masculinity demands something different: emotional intelligence, adaptability, vulnerability, and the courage to have honest conversations about your struggles. Talking about your feelings isn't weakness. It's self-awareness. It's strength. Second, you need real community. Not online forums, not gaming clans, not comment sections. Actual, face-to-face human interaction. Join something that forces you out of isolation. A gym, a sports league, a hobby group, a volunteering opportunity. Anything that puts you in the same room with other people regularly. The loneliness epidemic feeds on your isolation. The only way out is to physically reconnect with others. Third, build skills that have real value in today's economy. The job market isn't rewarding brute force or outdated degrees the way it used to. Creativity, emotional intelligence, communication, problem solving. These are the currencies of modern success. If you think your technical skill alone will carry you, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Invest in learning how to work with people, how to lead, how to adapt. Fourth, redefine success on your own terms. Forget the old milestones. Owning a house by 25, married with kids by 30, 6-figure salary by 35. Those were built for a different economic era. Instead, focus on fulfillment, personal growth, meaningful work, and real relationships. Your timeline isn't broken because it doesn't match someone else's. The pressure to meet outdated benchmarks is crushing men who don't need to be crushed. Fifth, get professional help when you need it. Therapy isn't emasculating, it's strategic. You wouldn't try to fix a broken leg by yourself. Why would you try to heal emotional wounds alone? A trained therapist can help you unpack decades of internalized shame, fear, and unrealistic expectations. It's not a sign of failure. It's one of the smartest investments you can make in yourself. Finally, stay patient with your progress. This isn't a quick fix. It's a long process of unlearning old narratives and building new ones that fit who you are today, not who the world told you to be. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And every small win compounds into something bigger over time. You're not just fixing your life, you're rebuilding it from the ground up, stronger, smarter, and more aligned with the reality we actually live in. You're not broken. The system is. Look, I'm not here to tell you everything's going to be fine with positive thinking and hustle culture. The economic reality is harsh, social expectations are confusing, and yeah, it's harder to be a young man today in some ways than it's ever been. But here's what I learned. You're not failing because you're weak. You're struggling because you're trying to succeed in a world that changed the rules without telling you. The men who are thriving right now aren't the ones who got stronger. They're the ones who got more adaptive. This isn't about competing with women or going back to some mythical golden age. It's about building a version of masculinity that actually works in 2025. One that includes emotional intelligence, genuine connections, and purpose that goes beyond just making money and getting laid. If this resonated with you, do me a favor, don't just like and scroll. Comment with one thing you're gonna try different this week. Send this to that friend who needs to hear it. Because the biggest tragedy isn't that young men are struggling, it's that we're all struggling alone when we could be figuring this out together. And if you're ready to stop being invisible and start building something real, stick around. This channel is about practical growth for guys who are tired of fake solutions and ready for real ones. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content that actually helps instead of just making you feel good for 5 minutes. You're not broken. The system is. Let's build a better one.